Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or whenever you should find this. I'm J-Ro, the Unsummoned Skull, the host with the most, and this is the 17th episode of the Quote of Arms podcast. I'm here with...
My name is Skylar and I am, like most Transylvanian, a big fan of goblins within the Magic the Gathering gameplay and lore.
Awesome, so goblins are the creature type we're going to be talking about. And goblins have been previously discussed on the podcast, but we're going to talk about them in a little bit different way. So first off, you said your name is Skylar. Is there another name that you go by?
I go by Malik, which is like my Twitter handle, Discord, my PSN. It's just my screen name. It comes from not only the old Israeli god of Moloch with the Phoenicians and all of that, but also from Elder Scrolls with the Orcish name for Malakat. Because, and then loving goblins, I also really love orcs and ogres and all those creatures and all their fantastical ways of riding.
Interesting that you should mention Israeli gods, right? Because I am actually Jewish, and tonight is the first night of Hanukkah.
Yep.
So happy Hanukkah to all those who celebrate it, and really even to those who don't. Just to have a good night, and be jealous of how we could eat latkes, which are delicious.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm going to be making right now.
I wish Knoxville had a stronger Jewish community because all the food is amazing.
Yep. So, talking about goblins.
All the goblins.
So, what's kind of the identity of goblins?
So, with mostly goblins, we see them as the red sub-archetype of basically color-shifted elves. They synergize really well with each other, whereas we don't really have mana dorks with elves. We do have ritual-esque type goblins with, like, Scarecrow Spectre would sacrifice a goblin, add red mana. And goblins, they're small, they're the common creature. They typically are right beside mono red burn because they're 1-drops, 2-drops, they ping, they get harder to deal with. You have to employ sweepers or effects like Elish Norn, and goblins are just fun. You just have a couple little boys and girls and in-betweens, and it's great. Like, whoever you are, you can play goblins, you can play burn, and play goblins. You should just play goblins. Like, don't play burn, just play goblins.
I like how goblins can go a variety of different directions in terms of gameplay. Like, you can go burn with them, you can go combo with them. I remember Fecundity Goblins was an extended deck once upon a time.
Fecundity Goblins is one of the most interesting decks.
Oh, yeah. There's the Prospector, which you can use for mana. You have Brightstone Ritual if you want to go into, say, Oathbreaker. I've seen that as a signature spell before.
Yeah, and also if you're running like the altars of Ashnod and Phyrexian, you can just turn them into whatever you need for the moment and combo off, or especially if you have Krinko Mob Boss.
Oh, yeah.
He's making the boys. He's just got them.
Krinko was one of the few cards we actually had to ban in Bubblegum Magic because it just goes nuts and there's not a lot of mass removal in that format.
Yeah. Krinko is hard to do with in a lot of environments, especially with some of the goblin like lore effects where they with cost reduction and haste, or like +1/+1 in haste, and just 4 mana Krinko. Oh no, you have 30 goblins, 31 ones.
Ooh,
win.
Yeah, especially when when you have like the War Chief out, you don't even have to play something that, like Fervor, that would give haste. They just have it.
They're just there. They show up, tap Krinko, bunch of little goblins, and just deal with it. And if you can't deal with it that turn and sweep all of them away whenever you untap, there's going to be 60 goblins. And then if somehow you survive that, 120, and so on and so forth, because Krinko is a little bit ridiculous. And Krinko. I personally use Krinko as like mana for like Skirks and the altars whenever I'm running like decks that don't have a lot of access to ramp that I usually play in green, like Virgo or Kalane, or any of those decks that just don't have green but have big spells that you need a significant amount of mana.
Oh yeah. So so you can make a lot of little guys, but how do you actually win with them?
It's typically through damage or everyone's favorite CEH goblin tech that isn't Kiki-Jiki, being Goblin Bombardment, to just make a bunch of goblins, ping everyone for them, or I'm still using Kiki-Jiki, but like Snoop lines where you just make all of these Snoops by making conspicuous Snoop into a pseudo Kiki-Jiki and then turning it into a pseudo Monk fanatic and just pinging everyone, pinging them forward. You can also use Goblin Sharpshooter and give it Death Touch somehow to just constantly keep the board pinged.
So getting into...
It's really weird.
Okay. I was going to say, so getting into specific cards, what is Conspicuous Snoop?
So Conspicuous Snoop, 2/2, costs red. You play with it on the part of your library revealed. You can cast goblins from the top of your library, and Conspicuous Snoop has the activated abilities of goblins. Conspicuous Snoop was printed in 2021 and has quickly become one of the premier goblin cards in a lot of goblins. You see him in MTGO Legacy play, but like Snoop is also bugged on MTGO, where Snoop has specific availabilities. So that's Snoop in general. Snoop is just, you're playing a goblin combo deck, or you're just playing a goblin deck in general. Well, here's a way to quickly get even more goblins if you're lacking card draw or the system, and you just have fun. And Snoop's art is so weird. Just a goblin face pressed against a pane of glass while someone is hiding, just peering into their. I genuinely love Snoop, and I end up putting a lot of Snoop lines in your decks that run red, just because if you get the right amount of cards, you can win on turn 3. Most people are still setting up, or if you have access to rituals, you can win even faster.
So even in decks that aren't dedicated goblin decks, putting in that little package of Conspicuous Snoop and certain other cards can still be a really powerful way to splice in a win condition into another deck.
Yeah, like you've played against my Rookfire deck. You've seen it. Snoopfire is one of the most fun girl decks, I believe. Whether you're playing the CDH version or like a Paragon version, it's really, really fun. Like, you just need 3 red mana and you can win. It's Conspicuous Goblin Recruiter, which banned in a lot of formats because everyone realizes how busted Goblin Recruiter is. Weird that it's still legal in Commander, but I guess we'll use them until something happens. So you get any number of goblins. Most people would probably just use this for dunk side or whatever. But goblin players are like, you know what? Let's do something with Snoop here. And you stack the top of your library to where you have Snoop. So on your hunt, you draw Snoop, and then you have Torch Courier, which is 1 red mana to 1/1 haste, so you can take another creature haste. Under Torch Courier, you will have Kiki-Jiki, and then whenever you sack Torch Courier, Snoop has haste, and then Snoop becomes the pseudo Kiki-Jiki, and then under them is the Moxfield. So, like 5 cards, you have a combo that goes off of 3 mana. You can either dedicate your deck with things like Imperial Cooler and Goblin Matron, or if you're in Duel or Duel X, you have Signal the cards to get your Goblin Matron, Goblin Recruiter, and Imperial Recruiter. So you just give the illusion of random choice to get your Goblin Recruiter. And it's just a fun line. It's super complicated, and most people don't know how to deal with it, as we saw in your game when Rachel Weeks was like, I don't know how to deal with this. I could have fixed this thing. It just needs something. It's super easy to do. It's a super great string. There's no stuff. You can just go up.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, do you use Moxfield when you're making deck lists? It seems like it seems like something.
There's Monarch. All of our decks up there. My Rookfire deck is up there. I have a few other decks that Snoop is in them. Like, this deck is a Snoop deck that is also Goblins, because goblins are small mana costs, so they fit perfectly.
Yeah, you also get to set up the top so you can make it so it specifically doesn't hurt you.
Exactly. And with Exodus, so every creature in the main Snake Community wins. The only legendary is Kiki Jiki. So Exodus actually has access to protecting your combo and lending it out just in case there's disruption, like a mill deck or anything that's abusing your top deck or the Snake line. Exodus can just get it back with Mage.
Yeah, I was going to mention the reason why I asked about Moxfield is because it sounds like this is a package of cards that you put into a lot of decks. And one of the things Moxfield can do now, their more recent innovations, is that it allows you to save packages.
See, I know this, and I've known it since it came out, but I still forget. Every time I go to make a new deck, I'm like, I should put the package in. Just put the package in. Put so many decks. I never do, and I'm just like, why when you put in these 5 cards every time?
Yeah, even if you don't quite remember how to do it yet, or remember to do it yet, just a good thing for the listeners to know that if you do want to put some of these cards together, and if you want to make a Goblin deck that has the Snoop line in it, or even just any red deck that has the Snoop lines in it, you can always take those specific cards and put them into a package and just slot them into different decks and see how it fits.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Even if you're not running like creature tutors or traditional tutors, you can just draw the Goblin tutor. It's so great because people who have seen the lines or play it, they know if they don't have the removal, what's happening. And my favorite thing, especially with that package, is having people stump me. Like, I love just setting up and like just showing a win and people knowing and stumping me and then grinding it out, because for the most part for my commander deck, I am really built up for long con, like grindy games. Like, I want to get that out. I want to set up the value engines and make it really. Is that because I play with like anything that's in the creature stuff? Maybe.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's really fun to see what happens when a deck is put off its main plan. How does it manage to get things to work, and how can it be flexible, either using specific outs or just restructuring how it plays? For example, let's say you have a landfall deck and somebody plays an Ankh of Mishra.
Yeah. Or a Sire of Stagnation.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's a yeah, like I said, it's really great to see how someone can pilot a disruption. And like I said, Snoop lines are fragile. They don't really handle disruption, like maybe if you have Deflecting Spot or your Guardianships. But like, that's every line if you have the protection. The Veils that are in green, because they're just 1 minute. But that also gets into the like thing where maybe we need a Dockside, who is another fantastic goblin. Dockside is phenomenal. It helps their Snoop lines so much. And a lot of the times people will put Dockside at the top with Snoop lines, especially if they're in a CDH game where a lot of people have put down their fast mana rocks, and if you have a way to draw that Snoop after casting Dockside, or Snoop into Dockside, because Dockside is less color pick intensive. It's Dockside is a ritual, and I remember.
So you mentioned Dockside. Dockside is a 2-mana goblin that, when it enters the battlefield, makes treasures equal to the number of artifacts and enchantments opponents control, correct?
Yep. It was printed in the Savine Chronoclasm deck, and it is the main reason that book retails for $70 to $80, because Dockside is $56, I believe, on TCG for a normal.
Yeah, I remember there was a time I shuffled up the precon and didn't realize that card was in there.
Yeah. Whenever they released, one of my play group all bought a different deck, since there's typically 4 to 5. I ended up getting the red. One of my friends got the Savine the Chronoclasm deck and like loved it, and then we discovered Dockside was in there. And we're like, yo, what is this card? How is this in a precon? This seems crazy. Like, before Hull Breacher, we had Ducks, but everyone slept on Dockside for like at least 4 to 5 months, and then it really caught storm, and Dockside just shot up. And
Reminds me a
were
lot of True
years
Name
so,
Nemesis.
yeah, I think it was still like a year or so after that prequel was printed. Like, you could still get them for the normal MSRP, but as soon as once he got rid of the MSRP for the decks, like retailers like Walmart, like selling them for $80. I still think in some Walmarts they still have them because Commander decks don't always sell really well in Walmarts. But yeah, I went to my local Walmart and there was the Sedina Chronoplaza deck. They had a Japanese Atraxa deck, all for the normal MSRP.
Oh dang! I don't frequent WalMarts, but that does sound it does sound incredible.
Yeah, I immediately bought the Japanese Atraxa deck, and it was definitely a gift for a friend who loves Japanese magic cards and Atraxa.
Yeah, that sounds very attractive. Anyways.
Another goblin that I just absolutely love, and a lot of people are really getting onto, and that you actually have a deck for, is Clark. We saw last night with Moderately Anonymous MTG's pod of just 4 Clark decks, and somebody was playing Mono Red Clark with Jessica, and it was basically a legacy Mono Red Prison deck, but with Clark, and it was beautiful gameplay. For all 4 pilots, it was just amazing. What the pod with Whirling Vortex was the best thing I've seen in a long time when it comes to CDH.
Oh yeah, Krark is a heck of a card. I actually, so my Krark deck, I actually made, well, it's actually Vile Smasher and Krark, so it's 2 goblins.
The best goblins.
Yeah.
All the commanders.
I actually built the deck before Krark came out, even though it seems like a perfect deck for Krark. And it's one of the few new cards I actually put in. But Krark is incredible with Magecraft.
It really is. It's just that cast and copy, and then if you run, like most people, Sakashima effects or cards like Harmonic Prodigy to just double up on those triggers where you're just rolling more dice to get more and more value out of these spells, it just becomes the parabolic probability generator of how close can we get to 100% while still having this margin of error.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've seen people fail 7 dice coin flips in a row with cards. I've seen people win all 7, and then all the possibilities in between. Nothing feels better than watching someone Fierce Guardianship dispel 7 times.
Nice. Yeah, my Vile Smasher Krark is a trap deck, and I use Krark. I basically use Krark because whether it gets copied or gets returned to my hand, it's still what I want. Because if it gets returned to my hand, I can just recast it on someone else's turn and get the Vile Smasher trigger.
Yeah. Playing against your Krark Vile Smasher deck was a little bit intimidating. I'm very happy whenever we did that game, I did Teferi's Protection in response to the Vile Smasher trigger, because I would have died 3 times in that turn rotation.
Yeah, I mean the deck is decently powerful, and it's won a couple of times, and it's a lot of fun. I get to say you triggered my trap card and invoke the Yu-Gi-Oh gods.
Yeah. Another combo that I think is really, really fun is Thrasios, because you get all the fun things with Thrasios, but also all these clone effects, access to Harmonic Prodigy. You get Archmage Emeritus, so whenever you do have your successful card triggers, you're drawing multiple cards, which just feeds into the absurdity of cards.
Mm-hmm.
And also Clark's lore is phenomenal. Of all of these goblins, of all the ones mentioned, Clark is probably my favorite, just because of how closely committed he is to Mirrodin and Phyrexian. And if you are not someone who gets into magic lore, the wiki is a nice shell guide, or if you have access to getting the novels, highly recommend. All of the magic lore is great. Goblin lore is fantastic, especially Clark.
So if you're getting the abridged TLDR, who is Krark?
So Clark is a goblin on Mirrodin who was a gambler, and he's called Clark the Thumbless because he bent his thumb, then he bent his other thumb, and then he said double or nothing to a goblin whose name I can't really recall, that he would journey to the center of the world and return. And mind you, this is all just anecdotal with Parker. He's like, yeah, I did this. Here's my journal. And the goblin was just like, yeah, I believe you. And then Kirk was labeled as a heretic and was martyred, and that's how we get the Kirk clan, which is most notable with Kirk Clan Ironworks, which is another combo card.
Oh, yeah. KCI, as it's been called.
I don't believe Kirk should have the subtype of wizard, because from what I remember the story, he's not doing wizardy things, but also mechanic-wise, I don't see how he couldn't be a wizard. So Kirk is just this weird, like, juxtaposition of, is he a wizard, is he not a wizard, what is this doing, why am I flipping coins, I really wish my spells would resolve. And another combo that's really good is just front to Vesh Levant, so you can get all these unconditional tutors, set up a win line, and then just feed Clark to Tavesh and combo along. And draw your cards, especially if you're using like Bant Tutors or like Verabon, Bloodsky Sire with his bows to get cards on top. Kirk is great. Kirk is love. We should all play a Kirk deck just because it's fun. It's insane. Like, Kirk is just absurd. I think Kirk pods are really funny because everyone's trying to resolve spells or counter spells or any like ramp or removal, and it's like, all right, let's roll for it, and then you've got this nice moment of anticipation with the roll, seeing if it resolves, if it's returned back to hand. It's really fun. I enjoy Kirk. I enjoy playing with my opponents. I do not like playing against Critic Machine.
Yeah, especially when it becomes, okay, I know it's going to be successful, it's just the question of how long it's going to be.
Exactly. It's how long can you keep this Fierce Guardianship in your hand? How long can you run this Dispel, this Deflecting Slot, etc., etc.? Can I and do I want to grind out this game? And I think that is another, like, wonderful representation of the flavor for the Tribe of Goblins, because they either win quickly or they have this just tenacity to grind out in games because you can just make a lot of them. We see that very, very commonly within lore, be it within the Magic the Gathering lore as a whole, or in things like Elder Scrolls, or the Forgotten Realms lore, which is right in with Magic, as most people know. So, goblins are fun. It is the embodiment of goblins. It's just this absurdity, this chaos that.
Oh, very much so. They're going to make insanity. We know that's going to happen. They're going to make things crazy and chaotic. It's trying to bust the rules of the game because that's what Red does.
That is what Red does. Red is in a very good spot in the game right now, I believe. Because for a while, Red was lacking a lot. I really enjoyed what we've done, especially within the Commander format with Red. I do believe I have opinions on certain Red cards are a little bit warping to the format, and if you're at a disadvantage, well, that's a totally different topic.
Mm-hmm. That's why I like Red's one of my favorite colors in Magic, is because it's about breaking rules and doing things that aren't supposed to be done or when it's not supposed to be done. So
yeah, and then the stacks effects that are within Red are some of the best stacks effects. Like, as I mentioned earlier, Whirling Vortex, where everyone takes one at upkeep. If you cast a spell and no mana was spent to cast it, you take 5 damage. Like, that's worked 5 less steps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I love Izzet, because blue is about understanding the rules, and red's about breaking them. So
yeah, you can't really break the rules unless you understand them super well.
Well, you can. You can be, say, Gruul, which is you disregard the rules and you break them anyways, because the rules.
I disregard your reality and substitute my own.
Yep.
Because I punch you. I make big things. This is what it is.
Because the rules were never a factor in what you were trying to do.
Exactly. Why worry about rules in society when you can just be Gruul? And you can just hang out with a bunch of Minotaurs and Goblins and Orcs and Elves, and everyone's just hanging out.
And then the blue side is, well, I like to understand the limits, or what people perceive the limits to be, so that I can then proceed to bust them.
Yes. I will say if Jace got to hang out with goblins, I think Jace would be a lot cooler.
Oh yeah, the
Imagine if
original.
Jace got to hang out with Clark. Like, Jace probably wouldn't be so whiny.
Yeah, the original Jace, the Jace Bellerin from Lorwyn Block, it's probably it's my favorite Planeswalker, just in terms of in terms of design and functionality as well. But I love the design because the hooded mage is just cool to me.
Yeah.
That
Whenever I
aesthetic.
actually first started playing Magic, the guy who got me into it had a mono blue mill deck that was centered around all of, like, Jace effects, where with draw, opponent mills, or you draw extra cards. When an opponent casts a spell, they mill 2 cards. When you cast a spell, you draw extra cards. So he made really just this mono blue prison deck that if you did anything or you did nothing, you were milled out. So that's where I got a lot of my play style from. Of I'm going to do these things, and you have to stop me so you can do the things as you want to do. And it's not like I want to control the game. It's just a really fun way to play where it's like, I'm going to do these shenanigans. I think these shenanigans are fun. If you hate them, please tell me and I will stop doing them. But I think it sets up a really interesting gameplay to put people in a disruptive pattern to where they have to pilot differently, because whenever I'm put in those situations, I find new ways to pilot my decks.
Yeah, and it's always better to be the one asking the questions than the ones digging for the answers.
Exactly. Another goblin I think is just absolutely phenomenal is good old Grinzo Dungeon Warden, who is just really mulligan tribal.
And Grenzo is a particularly interesting one. So, the color identity is red and black, and then has an X, or is this the mono red one?
Yeah, that is, Grinzo Dungeon Warden is the Rakdos X one.
Nice. I love X spells, and especially on a commander where you can just do whatever the thing is -2 and recast him.
Yeah. And then he has the put the bottom card of your library into your graveyard if it's a creature with is it power? Yeah, if it's a creature with power less than Grinzo's, put them to the battlefield. And Grinzo's already naturally at 2. Most goblins are at 2 or less. There's 2 and 1s and 0s. So for a lot of the time with Grinzo, you can, if you're doing Grinzo Goblin Tribal or Grinzo Goblin combo, like you're just playing goblins from the bottom of your library, which is such an interesting mechanic. And I wish there were more ways to utilize that, because I really want to play Grinzo, but the just rule of improbability of always getting a creature card from the bottom is.
Scry can help.
Yeah.
But
I would.
just want to play
But
a
also
ton of
makes me want
spelling
to play
effects.
Yawgmoth's but no one wants to see Yawgmoth's with a Grinzo deck.
Yeah. It does sound like another one where you can just slot some combo pieces, or slot the combo package into an otherwise just interesting looking deck. Like maybe Junk War or Junk Troller.
Yeah, I think one of the most interesting Grinzo cards is a card from Helheim, Fire Prophecy, where it does 3 damage and you may put a card on the bottom of your library and draw a card. So if you have Grinzo, you're just like, oh, I would like to put this combo piece on the bottom and remove one of your creatures.
And one of the cool things about having commanders that you really enjoy and is that you can follow along and see things that have been printed after it was printed that just happen to work with it. And that can help to inform some of the speculation you do when a new set comes out.
Exactly, yeah. Like, so, not to constantly talk about my Rookvar deck, as I always do, but, from AFR, we got Dragonborn Champion, which is if a source you control deals 5 or more damage, draw a card. It's a 5/3 with trample, so of course it's like, yeah, this is for the new Gruul Dragon Tribal deck AFR, but Rookvar printed over a decade ago. It's like, oh yeah, have Rookvar, let your opponents cast non-creature spells, draw all these cards.
Yeah, one of the things that I was looking for, and I think it changed when Strixhaven came out, was I keep looking for new ways to give creatures lifelink that are either in red, green, or colorless. And something innocuous that just seemed to be helpful to me was they made a land in Strixhaven that gives a creature lifelink.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Hold on. What is this land?
I don't remember.
Hold on, I have to Google this Strixhaven lifelink thing.
But
Because
basically, every card that comes out that gives things lifelink, I just slot into my Rurik Thar deck. Because my Rurik Thar deck's goal is to give him lifelink so I don't care about his downside, and everyone else has to worry about double lightning helix.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, whenever you told me about your Rurik deck, I definitely became on the hunt for Shadow Spear because Shadow Spear and Rurik is so fun. I think I enjoy Shadow Spear and Rurik more than I enjoy Shadow Spear and Grafton Exoskeleton.
Modern Horizons 2 gave another living weapon that has lifelink.
Yeah, yep. What was it, Cauldron Complete?
No, it was a smaller one, I think. I can't remember what it was. I'll have to look some of these things up just to try to remember the names. But
yeah, there's so many cards. That's so many cards, and I enjoy it. I enjoy that there's a lot of cards because there are so many formats of Magic, and as a Commander player, all of them are typically available to you unless it's banned, but within Commander, we have the largest card pool and the smallest ban list.
Mm-hmm. Lifelink land was Witch's Clinic, which I think is from the Witherbloom deck.
Yes, that is exactly what it is. Thank you.
Yep. And then, let's see, lifelink.
Yeah, target commander gains lifelink until end of turn for 2 and a... That's absurd.
Yep. Batterbone gives +1/+1 vigilance and lifelink to go along with Battered Skull.
And all of these cards are just really good, especially if you're just playing these goblin cards who have all these weird synergies, and if you're trying to gain life. Life is a resource, so get some lifelink in your decks. Genuinely, like, you might start off with 40 life, but there is no cap for your life, so run some lifelink. Make your play group frustrated.
Oh, it certainly frustrates me because, well, I like games to go a little bit faster, like, especially when I'm streaming. I don't like games going longer than an hour and a half.
Oh, yeah.
Because at that point, somebody's going to have a technical problem, or someone's going to have a technical problem, or maybe I will, or internet problem, something like that.
Yeah.
So I like to get the game done before any problems like that can happen. But also, I mean, I'm a busy person. I have other things that I do.
There's just exhaustion when games start to get to the hour mark because there's people who have attempted wins several times and they've more than likely done a convoluted set of steps, or you have like just the physical fatigue of sitting in a position of holding cards around a table that is just physically exhausting at a certain point.
There's also the frustration that comes in from, let's say that you missed an early land drop or you kept a bad hand, and you know that you're not going to win, but you're just kind of stuck with it.
Another reason to play Grinzo, because just mulligan heavy. You just need 2 lands for Grinzo. That's all you need.
Well, let's say that you're playing the Snoop line, and the Snoop line's been answered.
Yeah, the Snoop line has been answered. Specifically, if we're within a grow color, we're looking for our Noxious Revivals if it's just in the yard, like, or our Eternal Witness effects, or even Endurance if we just want everything. If we're running Rakdos Goblins, typically Yawgmoth's Will, or just your standard reanimation package. If you're running against a blue deck who just Aether spotted you, I don't know, just try to get Goblin Recruiter flickered, or... The disruption can be very, very hard for Snoop.
Yeah.
I've definitely experienced, like, just a simple swords on a Goblin Recruiter or a Snoop just turns this, what you've set up over 2 turns into nothing. Mind you, you can top deck. Typically, when my Snoop line gets interrupted, instead of continuing to not draw lands that I may need for the next 3 turns, I'll use my Cultivate or, like, a Skyshroud Claim just to shuffle them in and try to get some advantage back.
Yes. So sometimes
but if we want to stop this disruption, another goblin that helps us, Vexing Shusher.
Ooh, nice.
love Xing Trisha. She is
Mm-hmm.
some of the best art that has ever been done. Some of the greatest flavor text. Like, the flavor text of the card I run, just basically it's like, her breath smells so bad that you just stop doing what you're doing. This is the goblin flavor that I needed.
Mm-hmm. I love how it was printed right around, I think it was in the same set as Guttural Response.
Guttural Responses is such another good card. I wish it didn't just hit Blue Instance, or was it? Yeah, Blue Instance for Guttural Response.
Like, people like Hoff keep talking about how they're so excited whenever they get to mana tithe somebody. To me, Guttural Response feels so much better.
Yeah, my favorite Guttural Response I got was an overloaded Cyclist.
Yep.
Because it's like, oh no, you paid 7 mana at someone's instep and you don't have any more mana or free counter spells? Oh, well, it's a good thing I kept this one red or green untapped.
Oh, yeah. and it can be either one, right?
Yeah. It does have hybrid mana, which does make it more restrictive with color identity in Commander, but typically if you're running Guttural Response, you're either playing a Girl deck or a Jund deck.
Yeah. It's cool that it could be
Goblin
any
Shine
number
and Girl and Jund.
Honestly, I believe I've put Guttural Response into blue decks before. So like Temur or like Temur or 4-color, because I intentionally tap out such that it's not a blue mana that's up.
Yep. Yeah, because if someone's on blue, everyone's looking to see if they have any blue mana up, and it's just the most powerful color in Magic, arguably being blue. So if you're running these effects that pay out or stop blue, it just gives you a significant advantage, especially if you're also on blue.
Oh yeah. It's a really nice way to mess with someone's head.
Because no one's ever expecting these red or blue or green, or the red and like green counter spells. Like, they're super common with high level Commander, but like at my LGS, like when I've like resolved like a choke to make islands not untap, or even the red elementals in the Pyroblast, like no one's always expecting the red elementals in Pyroblast, because why would Gruul run counter spells? Like, why? Just because of blue decks.
Mm-hmm.
And I also don't think blue should just have this like meme and reputation where people hate it. But also, that would probably stop if we got mono blue goblins. Just saying, Wizards.
I will say blue is my favorite color in Magic. And I don't like how people use it restrictively, though. As a control color or a, not necessarily a stacks color, but a little bit of stacks color.
Yeah, because you can run like Arcane Laboratory or like the basics. Or even Narset, but if you're playing Narset, you don't have runes.
I mean, Stasis, too.
Oh, yeah, Stasis. One of my friends runs a Derevi deck and Yorn stacks that just hinge on Stasis and Winter Orb effects.
Mm-hmm. There's another one where creatures can't attack you unless the controller exiles a card from the grave, and you run that alongside Rest in Peace, and they just can't attack anymore.
Yeah. There's so many ways that blue... Everyone talks about green breaking the color pie, but I think what we don't take into effect is the color pie is not this rigid rule. It is not this rigid philosophy. Mind you, it does have their, like, you're not going to get all these big stompy creatures in blue because they'll just be in green, but everything with, like, counter magic or draw effects or et cetera, have existed and shifted over the color pie for this game that has existed for over or nearly 30 years now. So. And goblins have always been, always. There's, I don't even tell you as someone who's been a pro player, like, within every format, there is a, like, competitive, full-level, top-tier deck that features goblins of some sort.
Like, Ramanap Winds, I believe, had, maybe it was close to the end of it, but, like, in Ixalan Standard, there was like, red decks with, the one that makes Treasure, I can't remember the guy's name right now. There's another one that you could sack to do damage.
Yeah, the Mog Fanatic.
Yeah, that version of Mog Fanatic that also had haste, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Fanatical Firebrand.
There we go.
Yeah, the infamous Lana Worlds killer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I cannot tell you how many times on Arena I have dropped a turn 1 Dork and they dropped a turn 1 Fanatical Firebrand.
Took it out, and there goes your advantage.
Yep. I wanted to turn 2 Cultivate, and they said turn 2 no. And that's a lot of what I think we should expect to see with Goblins, because you can just take down these dorks, which fits the red color philosophy of bolting or pinging, as like with Goblin Sharpshooter, who is also the terror of mana dorks, because most mana dorks have a 1 toughness, so Goblin Sharpshooter just knocks them all down.
That's why there was a dual deck, Elves versus Goblins.
I bought so many of those, and taught like a lot of my family or like cousins or like friends' kids how to play with them, because kids love goblins. I don't know how to explain it any more than if you just give a kid a goblin deck with all this like weird kooky art with goblins, they love it. Oh god, kids love playing goblin decks, and I think it's a great way to get people into Magic is the dual decks, and I wish they would come back. I love the dual decks. I might be a commander player at heart. The dual decks are fun. It's so nice just to go to a store, spend $15, get 2 decks, just play them out with your friends. Goblins versus Elves is just the best one. Or the Goblin versus Merfolk one, that one was really good.
Goblins versus whom now?
The Goblin versus Merfolk. It was the mono red one versus the mono blue one. Because we get like there's like a Goblin Instigator or something in there. That was really good. I can't remember what year they came out. Oh, not Goblin Instigator. Pull up these deck lists real quick.
Okay.
Because I remember when they first came out, because I was working at a Walmart at the time, and whenever they got new product in, I was definitely one of the first people to try to get it. It doesn't want to load, but I highly recommend, if you can find a Goblin versus Merfolk deck, if you love Goblins or you love Merfolk, they're really fun. It's a really, really balanced thing. The Goblins have a lot of effects that just win with like Foundry Street Denizen, which has whenever another red creature enters the battlefield, it gets +1/+0, which with Goblins, as we talked about, like effects like Krenko or Kiki-Jiki, that's a lot of creatures entering the battlefield.
Oh yeah, and it doesn't just count your own as well.
Yep. And then when we have creatures in the battlefield, we have effects like Warstorm Surge or Impact Tremors or the Peripherals that has pinging damage. And those are like... So, I've not seen a Goblin Tribal deck that doesn't run at least one, if not all 3. I think we're getting to the point where I should tell everyone about the best Goblin ever, which is Kiki-Jiki.
Sounds good.
So, starting off, Kiki-Jiki is from Kamigawa. The Goblins there have shells. They're very much so beetle-like with their hunched-over posture, and there's one of the most interesting iterations within Goblins, not only within Magic, but fantasy. So, Goblins on known as the ATK. Kiki-Jiki is a 2/2 that costs 2 red, for a total of a CMC of 5, that has haste, tap Kiki-Jiki to create a token copy of a non-legendary creature. It gains haste, sacrifice it at the instant. So this is a great combo card. It has always been a combo that Hyrant out to make infinite Hyrances, or Zealous Conscripts, or within Ixalan we got Coercive Recruiter, who is the one that gets around our Authority of the Console effects, or like Blind Obedience effects. to untap our creatures to where we can still have our infinite hasties. But Kiki Jiki is very important not only within combos, but as queer individuals. A lot of queer people, specifically trans femme people, love Kiki Jiki. Not only because we love goblins, I don't know why. I don't know why trans feminine people, why we enjoy goblins, but we do, and Kiki Jiki is up there for us because we can create our infinite goblins. We just have this goblin engine, but Kiki has slowly become a trans icon where all trans people are just enjoying Kiki Jiki. Only because of the story of Kiki Jiki with abusive parents and going off and taking this energy and hatred that has been thrown at you and turning it into fuel and the weapons that you use. Because the lore of Kiki Jiki is goblins in Kamigawa. They're kind of just... Kiki Jiki uses magic to make phantasmal images of things to either subvert danger or to defeat.
I wonder if there's also the element of how Kiki can become whatever it wants.
Yeah, so Kiki can just be anything. Like, you're playing Modern Red, you go use Else conscripts and your coercive recruiters and your combat element. Within Green, we only have Hyrax, which combos with Kiki. But if you're in Blue, there's like Tester Might. You don't even have to use Kiki for these like infinite combos to win with damage, but also value engines. Like, you can tap Kiki to make another Dark Side Extortionist to make more treasures, or tap Kiki to make another mod character to get another Goblin straight into the battlefield. This, that, and the other thing that has an enter the battlefield trigger or whatever trigger that you need. Kiki can be a value engine, a combo piece, or just a threat, a bluff. Because typically if someone is trying to resolve a Kiki, they're typically going to go with a win within 1 or 2 turns.
Yeah, so there's that aspect. I just also just love the idea that it can become whatever it wants.
Yeah, you can just do whatever you want with Kiki. Like, Kiki, you might not, like I said, you don't want to run a combo. If you just want a value card, Kiki's a 5 CMC. Hey, this thing that has value, make another one. Every turn. Every turn.
You weren't
Not
born a
every turn,
dragon?
but
Fuck it,
all
become a
your turns.
dragon.
Would you repeat that, please?
You weren't born a dragon? Screw it, become a dragon.
Yeah, you want to be a dragon? Now you're a dragon.
And I love that aspect of it. I actually made a deck called Mogus Makes My Dreams Come True. It's designed around turning yourself into a dragon with Form of the Dragon. Because
that sounds like a really fun deck.
I love that aspect of, in this life, you only get to be around so long. Become whatever the hell you want. Be a good one.
Exactly, and that's genuinely the main reason why a lot of queer people love Kiki. Because, why? Life is short. Life can be hard. Find the ways that you can to make life fun. And if that's making a million hasty creatures to punch your friends in the face, becoming a dragon, making a value engine, or just enjoying the day-to-day life, you should do it. And I think Kiki shows all of these pieces that no matter where we come from, what we've been through, we can be a dragon. We can be happy. We can do these things. You can punch your friends in the face for 1 million damage. They might still be in prison.
Yeah.
But you can do it. You can do it. You've done it.
That's a great place to end this for today. To end this segment. So, talking about how with goblins, they're always pictured living their best life.
You should always live your best life. If it's going after shiny objects or hanging out with a bunch of your buddies, or just existing, you should do it as a goblin would. You should be happy, enjoy the little things, and punch your friends in the face for 1 million damage.
Well, thank you very much for being a part of me living my best life.
Thank you for having me. It was a joy to talk about my favorite tribe within nature.
It's my honor. So, where can people find you?
I am on Twitter, like I said, MAUUULOCH. I'm typically just saying dumb stuff because I thought it's stupid. But I'm so stupid being to you. PlayStation, though I don't play people Discord with the same name. Really, if you just go on Twitter and just end up being friends because a lot of people, if you ever want to get me for a game of Commander, please just reach out. I love playing Commander. I will play with anyone. I will apologize if my deck pops very scary. It does tend to do that. J-Lo can tell you is a very, very resilient.
Never a problem for things to pop off. And sometimes it goes faster than you expected, and sometimes it doesn't. But
yep, that's just the game of Magic. Somebody's got to win, somebody's. Unless you dual caster mage twin flame and don't have any other targets, then you've just made an infinite combo lens and a draw. And why would you do that?
And do elves apologize for a turn 5 Crater Hoof or something?
Turn 5 Crater Hoof, Elf Ball.
It happens.
I think I still want to rebuild my, or build a Gruul Elf Ball deck, but it's not really elves, it's just Gruul with a bunch of goblins and then Crater Hoof. Crater Hoof with goblins, Crater Hoof and Trinko is like my new game plan to make work somehow.
One of these days, I've been thinking about maybe making a Thrun the Last Troll deck. It's a Thrun the Last Troll deck, but it's a tribal deck that Thrun doesn't fit into. Because the deck is just trolling you. I don't even know which tribe it would be. It just sounds hilarious.
Just do Beast. That's the most pitiful tribe in green.
Mm-hmm. It certainly could be.
Beast as well.
It certainly could be. I might do. I was thinking maybe like Fungus Tribal.
Ooh, Fungus is always so fun, especially if it's just something that is off the wall. I really enjoy off the wall decks that have no idea of what they fit with their commander. Like, it's so fun. Like Kesset, like Mab, our resident completed queen, who is also a big fan of Kiki-Jiki, and if you send her a Kiki-Jiki, she will put transconnect lines. Send it to a trans person who needs a Kiki-Jiki, Kiki utility service, Kiki's delivery service, if you will. Just who had a Kess deck that was a goblin combo deck with Kiki-Jiki and Kess. It was so fun to play against.
I'm glad that you remember that because I forgot that who it was that did that. So awesome, thank you.
Yep, it is Mab, Queen, Weekly, probably my favorite person with the she is typically always nice.
Yeah, Mab the Queen, not to be confused with Hoth Queen, both of whom are awesome queens.
Yeah, both are queens, but the Snow Queen of Hoth and you should totally get games in with, and you should love them dearly.
And I hope that people love you too, because you're awesome and you deserve it.
Thank you very much, Gabriel.
And all you listening, hope you all know that I love you too. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.